Although Australia, the UK and US partnership, AUKUS, it sounds strange with all these acronyms, but it's a good one. AUKUS, our nations will update and enhance our shared ability to take on the threats of the 21st century, just as we did in the 20th century, together. Our nations and our brave fighting forces have stood shoulder to shoulder for literally more than 100 years. Through the trench fighting in World War I, the island hopping in World War II during the frigid winters in Korea, and the scorching heat of the Persian Gulf. The United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom have long been faithful and capable partners, and we're even closer today. Today, we're taking another historic step to deepen and formalize cooperation among all three of our nations, because we all recognize the imperative of ensuring peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific over the long term.
AUKUS, or Australia US UK alliance, is a trilateral partnership between these countries which emerged out of nowhere last month. The core purpose of this alliance is to transfer 8 nuclear submarines to Australia for safeguarding interests in Indo-Pacific. Now, there can be individual reasons of these nations to have this alliance. For Australia, it's a major upgrade from their ongoing diesel-electric submarine deal with France, and also empowering Australian naval power in Indo-Pacific. For UK, it's a great opportunity to show off its independent strategic policies post-Brexit. And for US, it can be a great way to reiterate its global stature as a superpower after withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan. But there are more implications in the depth of this alliance. There is no doubt that China is the center focus here. Chinese Navy has grown rapidly in past couple of decades, and Australia, being a closest NATO ally in South China Sea, makes sense to operate a nuclear submarine. We have to understand that these submarines will be nuclear powered, not nuclear armed, and will be most likely supplied by UK. Now, Chinese state media obviously had very strong reaction to this trilateral partnership and calls this as American Cold War style confrontation. This military alliance has also made France displeased, and France recalled its ambassador from Australia in the wake of this deal. This deal between these three nations can be financially and politically humiliating for France. France might not be aligning with hardline approach of NATO against China, and France's trust on its Western allies will also be dented. It's not odd to think about the other side of prospects from this deal. This deal can make transfer of nuclear propulsion technology much easier. A future nuclear submarine deal between India and France is very possible. We also must understand that array of partnership that US has been trying to build against China is not necessarily making China weak. AUKUS, as quoted by some people, cannot be a NATO of Indo-Pacific. A NATO of Indo-Pacific without New Zealand, South Korea, Japan, Philippines, and most importantly, India is of no weight. It shouldn't be forgotten that despite of all this, the world economy is very globalized, and China is the largest partner of Australia. So this partnership isn't gonna be a NATO equivalent organization. What will eventually happen is Australia will operate nuclear submarine, and probably in future Australia will become a staging ground for US troops against China. The biggest takeaway from this trilateral pact is UK's independent strategic policy when EU was still being very diplomatic when it comes to choosing words against China, and America probably looking into future prospects of utilizing Australia's strategic location and try to suppress China's naval rise. For India and Japan, it doesn't really bring a whole lot of changes, and for France might be planning something to cover this loss of $90 billion. If you like these kind of videos, then please subscribe to my channel. Spearhead over and out.